Hi, David. How are you doing today?
Hello, Gilbert. I'm really well, thank you.
Great. Welcome to our program here. First time being here. Maybe you'd
Yeah,
like to give us a bit of overview about your company, Envirogold Global, so a bit of history, so that the investors to just get a sense of where this background is.
thanks, Gilbert. And yes, Envirogold Global began as an idea back in 2020, where mining companies that have massive balance sheet liabilities, environmental liabilities in their tailings dams, I recognized that there was also a huge amount of value in those tailings. So rather than call them a liability, I refer to tailings as a stranded asset. And the reason is most tailings dams, very old ones particularly, the metal recovery rates weren't very good. And therefore, there was a lot of metal, a lot of value still left in the tailings. So I thought rather than a liability, it was an asset. And if I could develop a technology that could improve the recovery process to take the metal out and reduce the environmental burden, then that would be a great business. And that was in 2020. We've now done years and years of research and development and proving the technology at commercial scale, filing patent applications. So now we have a really great business that's about to take off with customers lining up. So the background is an opportunity, Gilbert, that was waiting to be unlocked that no one else had ever seen.
Great to hear that sort of story. So you mentioned since 2020. So with that sort of time, do you sort of have a rough estimate how much also for the capital that you've invested for the past few years?
I do, very much so. It's about $28 million we've invested in research and development, engaging with the market, building out a very competent team, and proving up the technology at scale. So we're well beyond laboratory work. We're now working with engineers and external parties that can take what we've built and turn it into a 500 tonne per day operating plant, which is the very next step for the business. And of course, filing patents and engaging with patent attorneys around the world to protect our IP.
So it seems like this is now turning into that inflection point where the R&D become real commercialization, the real work. So can you tell us a bit what's your strategy now to in getting in, signing up new contracts and working with companies?
It's really good that you mentioned the word inflection point, and we use that often because that really is where we've transitioned to. We've been an R&D company for several years, building technology, working with different types of tailings, and really proving this works at scale. But now that we've done that and we've proven that the chemistry is scalable to our target is 1,000,000 tonnes a year, so about 3,000, bit under 3,000 tonnes per day is our operating model. The plan now is engaging with customers, going through the process of evaluating their tailings through our technology and our equipment, and then working through the licensing agreements. And we're well along that pathway. We have customers, we have agreements that we're working on. We're not at this point able to announce their names, but they're tier one mining companies. And as we move further along the validation pathway, we'll be making those announcements. And I think that will validate that this technology is robust, it's industrial scale, and it operates for our specific tailings, recovering more than 99% of the gold and silver that sits in those stranded assets.
And obviously, I'm assuming the space is pretty competitive, and with the metals price right now, obviously there's a lot of value to be recovered. So can you tell us a bit about the sort of the market space, how competitive it is, what are the players, how could you compete with them, that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. And firstly, the size of the market is in trillions and trillions of dollars. Many other organizations have valued, analyzed the amount of tailings sitting around the world. And when you think about tailings, they're above ground, they're already crushed, they're ready to be processed without much further expense other than the processing cost. So the market is extraordinarily large. Our subset of that market is sulfide tailings. Now, it's a smaller subset than the multi-trillion dollars, but it's in the hundreds of billions of dollars. So it's still a very, very significant market. Now, in that space, for those types of tailings, there is very little to no competition, because the reason the metal is still in the tailings now is it's very complex and that doesn't come out easily. And that's where our technology shines, that we've developed a technology that can break down the sulfide bond, release the metal, and we're metal agnostic, so it all comes out, and make it available for processing. The other companies in this space, you can barely count on, a couple of fingers. There's a couple of old technologies that have been around for 30 or 40 years that work for sure, but they're very capital intensive and operating cost intensive. And maybe with the current metal prices, they're economic, but previously they were not. So in our space, Gilbert, for the sulfidic tailings we work on, there is little to no competition, and we really are leading the way.
So now that you're in the process of signing, getting new contracts, signing clients, what sort of, I would say, projections or forecasts that you can give us in the next few years?
I think the best way I can answer that question is to refer to an analyst in June last year, picked up some, I guess they did a bit of a deep dive looking through our prior announcements and looking at our commercial presentations, and they built an operating model and some financial projections that are probably, conservative, but a good baseline to work on. And that analyst said that each of our customers would produce about 16 million US dollars a year license fees to us for the life of the mine. And if we then add 2 mines in 2027 and 4 mines a year thereafter, our EBITDA grows to several hundred millions of dollars within a few years. I can share that analyst with you. It's available on our website, but it's a really telling projection of what we could look like, but we think it's conservative, but it's still a very attractive story. And part of the reason is we don't own the mines, we don't operate the mines, we are a technology licensor. We get paid for the use of our technology for the life of the mine. It's used under our guidance. It's a black box, so nobody gets to know exactly what it is, but it's a very, very good model. And as a licensor, we believe we'd like to strive to being a dividend-paying company. And those sorts of companies in the technology space, get PEs of more than 25, maybe 30 of PE ratio. So, we think signing customers and commissioning plants will rapidly turn us into a very valuable dividend-paying opportunity for investors.
That's excellent to hear. So in the final question I'd like to throw at you, let's talk about your share price. Since September, you've sort of gone up quite a bit, and in the steadier now, this 13, 14 cents or above that sort of level from 9 cents, 10 cents. So what's next? Why should investors consider thinking about this in terms of timing, investing into your company right now?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I suppose nobody really knows the answer. I don't have the crystal ball, but we've done a peer group analysis of technology companies that are more or less about the same stage of commercialization as we are in the mining and related spaces, not directly competitors, but aligned with mining. And their valuation is 10 times more than us or bigger. And what we feel is that whilst we've been in R&D mode, we haven't told the story. And the story of what we are, what we do, what the valuation, what our commercial proposition is, and why we're an attractive business. And we're just now starting to tell that story, having conversations like with yourself, so that investors get to see what the potential is. And, we think it's very bright. We think the competitive market or our peer group that have current valuations 10 times what we are, gives investors a very real here and now opportunity to come on board and come with us on the journey.
Excellent to hear. I think it's really interesting for a company of course, it's a tech company, but it's also going to benefit along with the booming metals prices because these companies wanted to, explore, companies like you work with to add more value to their businesses too.
Yes. Well, one key point I can make is that the US critical minerals mandate, which has been widely publicized, really works absolutely in our favor. It couldn't have been written better had we written it, because America needs critical minerals. The world needs critical minerals. In America, they import 64% of their silver requirements every year. Much of that is sitting in America in tailings right now. The question is, how do you get to it? And the answer is Envirogold has the opportunity to release that silver and gold and copper and other metals. So our focus is working with the American market and American customers to extract silver and other metals that are already sitting right there in the ground as what we call stranded assets. So we're busy, we're focused, we're working hard with many customers and partners and growing our business globally, but North America is a key focus for us right now.
Yeah, indeed. That's indeed is a good point to share with us here today. So thank you, David, for your time of sharing your story and answering all the questions. I look forward to speaking with you again in the near future for some updates.
Thank you, Gilbert. We'll be sure to keep you posted and let's have another conversation soon. Thank you.
Good. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you.